continues on page 4 and 5 of the Star this morning. You can see a related picture there. Word of cash. That is Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka and Kanu Church Gideon Moi at a Harambe for Modale Catholic Church in Kitui County yesterday. Also, 12 counties get 1.2 billion shillings after public forums. This is all about public participation. And MPs demand state officers with dual citizenship probed. This is on page 7. Also, secondary school principals decry underfunding. You can follow the story on page 11 of the Star this morning. Lobby threatens to storm Star offices over report. Right. In defense of Sonko, lobby threatens to storm Star offices over report on page 23 is where you can follow this story. People Daily is up next, and this is what is holding for us this morning. A quick look at what is on the front page of People Daily. Police manhunt for Nyakundi. Detectives believe top city lawyer accused of killing son is on the run after skipping court. And this story continues on page 6 of the People Daily this morning. Also, government opens doors to maize imports as stocks shrink. This story continues on page 15. That is what we have on the front page of the People Daily. Taifa Leo. And this is what you're waking up to today. Masaibu ya Ruto yaongezeka, it says. Kalonzo atangaza ushirika na Gideon Moi na kuongeza idadi ya wanasiasa wanaotatiza ndoto za Ruto. That is what we have as a splash today. The story continues on page 2 of the Star. Also, walimu waunga wabunge SRC vunjwe. A new development there. Let's just see what it says here. Chama cha kitaifa cha walimu NAT inataka tume ya mishahara ya watumishi wa umma ifutiliwe mbali. Kulingana na katibu mkuu wa NAT Wilson Sossion ambaye pia ni mbunge maalum, SRC inaleta utata na hali ya kutoelewana kwenye mashauriano kuhusu mishahara kati ya vyama vya wafanyikazi na waajiri. This story continues on page 2 of the Taifa Leo this morning. Remember, he's also a member of parliament, so there is vested interest as well, also from the comment as well. Tamasha, muziki wa Jamaica, wanoga Nairobi. We can see here Alain Lafton kutoka Jamaica akitumbuiza wakati wa tamasha ya Tomorrow Leaders uwanjani Kasarani jijini Nairobi mnamo Jumamosi. You can follow the story also inside Taifa Leo this morning. Let's buckle down to business and see what the Business Daily is holding for us today. And this is what you're waking up to today. The Chinese in Gikomba. Right. They're everywhere. From roasting your maize as well and selling your mitumba, the Chinese are here. Traders in second-hand clothes and imported kitchenware feel the heat as Chinese traders open shop. And you can see here, it says small-scale traders in Gikomba, Nyamakima and Kamukunji markets in Nairobi have new competitors. The Chinese. 10 of Chinese traders have opened shops in crowded informal markets that have for decades served as the entry points for second-hand clothes and cheap Chinese imports. Backed by strong financial muscle, the traders who have taken strategic control of the supply chain from imports to wholesale and down to the retail level are giving local traders a run for their money. The Timingi Komba market has for decades been a magnet for traders from neighboring countries including Tanzania, Rwandese and Congolese. Tanzanians, Rwandese and Congolese, but local traders say the Chinese business have posed a new threat. You can follow the story on page 4 of today's Daily Nation. Just see a related picture as well. He is a Chinese trader at the Kamukunji market in Nairobi, and you can see the bale of clothes here tucked away in his store as well. He's another one as well. So where are we headed as a country if we can actually allow this as well at the expense of our citizen? This is what is on the front page of the Citizen today. So soon you'll be served also your Mahindi Choma by Chinkwangu. That is a story that you want to follow also inside the Business Daily as well. Also, regulator bans use of SACCO name for briefcase outfits. Scores of saving and credit societies operating without proper registration face imminent closure in draft regulations by the Savings Regulatory Authority, that is SASRA. The tough new rules are intended to weed out fraudulent outfits. The draft SACCO societies, non-deposit taking SACCO businesses regulations will outlaw the use of the name SACCO for any outfit that is not registered by SASRA. The regulations come at a time when Kenyans are smarting from huge losses following the collapse of Ekeza and Good Hope SACCOs, while holding member deposits in excess of 2 billion shillings. This is a story that you want to follow us on page 4 of the Business Daily this morning. Business says for 2 billion shillings boost from VAT claims, businesses are set to get a major cash flow boost from a proposed legal amendment that will see their 2.6 billion shillings withholding VAT claims from the taxman offset against their pending tax dues. The Treasury, through the Statute Law Miscellaneous Amendment Bill 2019, is seeking approval from Parliament to empower the Commissioner of Domestic Tax to allow withholding value-added tax, that is VAT, to be applied against any tax payable under this Act. This story continues on page 4 of the Business Daily this morning. And maybe just to give you a snippet of what the state of Kenyan SACCOs as at 2017, the parameter and the amount, number of SACCOs, they're given there 22,000. Also membership 14, assets 1,000. That is well, that's 1 billion shillings there. Well, I'll leave it for you to decipher this. And this is also from the State Department of Cooperatives. All this is tucked away inside the Business Daily today. Let's move on and see what we have on the ticker. 4 billion shillings for loans to TVET learners. Good news there. Thousands of students enrolled in vocational and technical training institutes are assured of government funding after Parliament revised budget estimates for the year starting July to include 4 billion shillings for their loan. You can follow the story on page 6 of the Business Daily. Today's digit is 104 million shillings, and that is the budget cut. SRC budget slashed after MP's house allowance dispute, right? This is what they're seeking, 104 million shillings to slash the SRC budget. And this is because of this spat that is going on between MPs and the SRC as well. Follow the story on page 5 of the Business Daily today. And Nairobi Securities Exchange bonds trade falls 18%. Nairobi Securities Exchange bond turnover fell by 18% last month to 54.6 billion shillings, cutting brokers' income. But rising debt maturities are expected to feed into the market this month and raise trading activity. You can follow the story on page 19 of the Business Daily this morning. Let's cross over now to Tanzania, and we see what is on the front page of the Citizen this morning. 5 things MPs expect in budget. Remember also, this will be an East African affair. So on Thursday, all the East African nations, of course, they're going to be having their budget estimates, and lawmakers hope the plan will address tax issues, agricultural financing, strategic industrial projects, salary increases and pensions, and propose solutions to existing economic challenges. This also continues on page 2 of the Citizen in Tanzania. Also, Bharti Airtel to hand over 5.27 billion shillings today. Indian-based Bharti Airtel International is to hand over 5.27 billion shillings to Tanzania's government today in part implementation of the agreement over ownership of Airtel Tanzania. The amount includes 2.27 billion shillings as support to the government for economic development and 3 billion shillings as part of implementing the agreement. You can follow the story on page 2 of the Citizen today. Also, experts to meet in Arusha. Serengeti clocks 60. Researchers from all over the world will converge in Arusha from July 17th as part of the commemoration of the 60th anniversary of Serengeti National Park. And you can follow the story on page 2 of the Citizen this morning. There's a standalone picture here, and this is Natural Resources and Tourism Minister Hamisi Kigwangalla receiving from the Tanzania National Parks Board Chairman General George Waitara in Arusha yesterday the trophy that was awarded to Serengeti National Park, as it was named the best national park in Africa recently. So it seems also Tanzania has beaten us to the punch, and they've taken this trophy as well. We used to be a leading nation on this, and now Tanzania is taking the upper part, or is actually taking the position on the pedestal there. That is what is on the front page of the Citizen this morning. Let's see also what Mwananchi is holding for us still in Tanzania. mawaziri 7 ambao hawajaguswa na John Pombe Magufuli. Find out who they are. You can follow the story on page 4 of the Mwananchi, and also you can see that particular picture that was on the front page of the Citizen is still also on the front page of Mwananchi as well. I read for you, so you can also get an idea on what the caption is all about. It's all about Serengeti receiving this award as the Africa Best Tourism Park, National Park, and that story also is tucked away on page 3 of the Mwananchi. The Daily Monitor is giving me trouble lately, so I won't be able to show you until I rectify that. But in the meantime, I can show you what is happening in Rwanda. This is what you're waking up to if you're in Rwanda today. BRD seeks to streamline recovery of student loans. That is, the Bank of Rwanda says that it will continue different strategic partnerships with different institutions to address the challenges encountered in a recovery of students' loans. Emmanuel Murangayisa and the senior manager for education financing department at BRD told the New Times that fresh strategies are based on the fact that very little of the loans have been recovered so far, considering the arrears of graduates who studied under government scholarships or scholarship with its inception around 1980 up to now. This story continues on page 4 of the New Times in Rwanda. DR Congo First Lady denies, not denies, this is Denise or denies, Denise Tshisekedi visits. This is actually what is on the front page of the New Times. This is Denise Tshisekedi visiting Rwanda, and this is the First Lady of Democratic Republic of Congo, Denise Nyakeru Tshisekedi, receiving yesterday on her arrival for a 2-day official visit to Rwanda. She was received in Rubavu yesterday by District Mayor Gilbert Habirimana. Mrs. Tshisekedi is in the country at the invitation of our counterpart, Mrs. Jeanette Kagame. You can follow the story on page 2 of the New Times in Rwanda. That is what is happening in Rwanda. But I want to show you also what is happening this week on the front page of the East African, or what is being held as the splash today and throughout the week. What Somali told London oil explorers about Lamu blocks, this is still ongoing. And these are leaked memos, I should say. Revelations comes after months of denial by Mogadishu that blocks were in disputed territory. This story continues on page 4 of the East African this week. This is how it looks. And Kenya's new money plan faces litmus test. Demonetization has been tried with mixed results in India, Myanmar and Zimbabwe. And it says Kenya's surprise decision to ban the circulation of 1,000 shillings note or banknote and render it worthless by October has left the country guessing the possible consequences of a policy shift to the economy. Last week, the Central Bank of Kenya said withdrawal of the notes, also known as demonetization, is meant to curb illicit financial flows, money laundering and terrorism financing, the 3 major vices it believes have rocked the economy, denying the exchequer the much-needed revenues through tax evasion. This continues inside East Africa. Full report on page 4, and that is also not page 4 but page 45. But for the splash, the page 4 is where it holds all the story. You can follow that inside the recent copy of East African. Human traffic on a new level in Juba. Human trafficking on a new level in Juba. You can follow the story on page 21, 24 and 25. Finance ministers to widen taxpayers' net. Mega projects tie up millions in expanding debt payments or repayments. Remember, as I mentioned, or as I mentioned earlier, the budget estimates will be read this week by all the finance ministers in the East African region. Also, Sino-US trade wars and how it will affect EA. Retaliatory taxation will have ripple effect on trade partners. China-US trade war and how it will affect East Africa is another story that you want to follow on page 34 and 35 of the East African this week. Allow me to also show you briefly what is on the front page of this week's, or not this week, but this month's Newsweek, not Newsweek, but Nairobi Law Monthly, and also Let me try and head there quickly. Nairobi Law Monthly and the Nairobi Business Monthly as well. Let's just begin with what has come first. This is the Nairobi Business Monthly. This is how it looks. If you've not really grabbed your copy, make sure you do. Postponed but inevitable, tracing Kolimo's footprint at Safaricom in the wake of the suspended retirement is how it looks. And this is where you can follow the story also inside the Nairobi Business Monthly. Also, we do have the Nairobi Law Monthly for you as well. State of the Nation. 7 years of straight lies and false promises. This is from the executive. 7 years down the line. Are they still picking from both sides of the mouth as far as promises are concerned? Have they made good of their promises as well? This is what is being tackled inside the Nairobi Law Monthly this month. Also, there's a special report, Bombers Draft, the constitutional moment we lost, and the long read. On the long read, you can read all about delivering efficient, effective devolution. All that is tucked away inside the recent copy of the Nairobi Law Monthly. I'll be remiss if I don't show you, lastly, what we do have as editorial cartoons inside the dailies today. What has been drawn by Gado, and what has been drawn, I should say, by Igai inside the Daily Nation. This is what is inside the Daily Nation today. Sonko's studio team, I'm telling you, 24/7 they are working. And now you can see this is what is happening so far. I'll leave it for you to decipher this. Of course, this is recently what we had with Sonko and Esther Passaris with the recordings as well. But now he's known to actually be recording his phone calls. This is what has been captured there by Iga inside the Daily Nation today. Also, inside the Standard today is all about Sonko as well. There is an attempt on my life. Is he the one who's just attempting on his life as well? And you can see all manner of liquor there. Incompetent Napoleon is another, champagne or whatever liquor that he's taking. Chronic or Koki, I don't know how you can actually, or how it's pronounced. There's Tagri cognac there, which is 50% strong. Also, Graft Tropical Juice. This is what is knocking back Sonko. What is he taking from amongst this as well? And of course, you can see all the devices and gadgetry there. Word of cash surrounding all these liquor as well. This is where he'll be recording you if you're calling him today. So be aware. This is what Gado has drawn inside the Standard today. Also, it seems maybe they were reading from the same memo. Let's see what Victor has drawn as well. It's all about Sonko as well. All right, Stano draws this and says, phone conversation, secrets, YT2, blackmail, Passaris. All right. He is, this is the rodeo. For how long can he hold on, right, on this particular bull? Will he last for long? That's a probing question. And of course, this is what we have in today's editorial cartoons inside the dailies today. Make sure you grab a copy of the Daily Nation. But I've remembered, I can take you back to 1963 and show you what the Daily Nation looked like then in 1963. We've come a long way. Uhuru demand, it was a splash today since 1963. And Uhuru demand Britain must act sooner or else. And it says here, delegates from Kenya, Tanganyika, that was Tanzania then, and Uganda today began drafting a constitution for the East African Federation, which is likely to come into being before the end of the year. And it says, and Kenya Minister for Justice and Constitutional Affairs, Mr. Tom Mboya, warned here that if the British government delayed Kenya's independence, Kenya Prime Minister Jomo Kenyatta and other East African leaders will fix the date of federation and hand Kenya responsibilities to the federal government. We shall then see what the British government will do, he remarked. And Mr. Mboya and other leaders from Uganda and Tanganyika were speaking at a packed meeting to celebrate KANU's victory in the Kenya elections. That is a story that you want to follow inside the daily. You can't really follow this, what am I saying? Because this was from 90. But if you want a copy, of course, you can actually get it from our archives, from our library. So this is a story that was headlining the front page of the Daily Nation in 1963. Also, welcome home. Who was this being welcomed home? This is Mayor of Nairobi. He was called Al Charles Rubia. He was arriving from his highly successful tour of the United States and Europe to be giving a tumultuous welcome by the African dancers and singers, but to be denied the use of the VIP lounge at Embakasi Airport. And many of those who were at the airport to meet him asked one question: why? Right, then it went on to say, why should the mayor of Kenya's capital city be excluded from using the VIP lounge when such facilities had been accorded to him throughout his tour overseas? The VIP facilities were requested by the city council. That is how it was in 1963. Also, Yemen debate call at UN, that is United Nations Sunday. The Soviet Union yesterday asked for a meeting of the United Nations Security Council to discuss the situation in the Yemen. So it seems this is a problem that was there since then, also in 1963. And that is what we have, or we had there on the front page of the Daily Nation by then. Guess for how much it was going for? Only 30 cents. But now is a complete picture of what is on the current page of the Daily Nation today. The technology notwithstanding, all that about the Daily Nation. And remember also, we're still celebrating our 60th anniversary. That is inside the Daily Nation today. Right, we want just to buckle down to a discussion this morning. And this is all about the MPs as well. If you just joined us this morning and read from my intro, I'll go back there so just to give you an inkling of what we're discussing this morning. And the headline stance taken by MPs over this housing allowance they recently allocated themselves irregularly demonstrates their disdain for the rule of law, I should say. It shows they live in a different world, far away from the voters who pay taxes to keep them in the office. At the heart of the matter is the 250,000 shillings monthly housing allowance the lawmakers awarded themselves and backdated to October 2018. The Salaries and Remuneration Commission has contested this, terming it illegal, and subsequently taken the matter to court for adjudication. An activist, Okio Mutata, has similarly filed a suit in court challenging the award. The latest move by the MPs is quite upsetting. They take advantage of their position in society to raise their remuneration package in total disregard of the law that stipulates that all matters of compensation for all public officers are handled by SRC. Moreover, they are oblivious of economic hardships the country is facing that demands frugality. In fact, other public officers such as the police, teachers and doctors who deserve better are starved of pay raise because of lack of cash. Now on Thursday, MPs held an informal meeting at Parliament buildings and fought of all criticism against the greed and resolved to defend themselves in court through lawyers to be hired by the Parliamentary Service Commission at the taxpayers' cost. It is extremely odious that the MPs cannot learn from the public anger and tame their greed. Rather than respond to the raging discontent, they resorted to issuing threats, including purposing to disband SRC, which they perceive as a threat to their rapaciousness. Indeed, they've gone all out to discredit other governments, officials and agencies, accusing them of drawing huge salaries and allowances, and they're arguing wrongly that they deserve better than anybody else. The work of MPs is to serve, not enrich themselves. In the past, MPs never earned huge salaries, and those who took up the jobs went out of their way to represent voters' interests, not self-aggrandizement. The roles seem to have become money-minting enterprise. MPs are highly paid and draw many allowances, including pay for sitting in committees, and which they have turned into a milking machine. They have a lucrative mortgage scheme, car grant, and a generous medical allowance. They cannot complain of poor pay. Often, most of them are absent from Parliament and hardly participate in legislations. We have severally canvassed this matter and will not tire. The public must put pressure on MPs to stop this immoral tyranny where they raid the national coffers and draw cash for themselves when everyone else is grieving. We must end this ravenous streak. This is what is on the front page of the Daily Nation today as a splash to the shame revenge law to kill SRC is a splash this morning. Make sure you grab a copy of the Daily Nation today. So allow me to introduce our legislators who are here today. Of course, this is a point. I know this will be me against them, of course, with the splashes as well. And we have Alice Wahome and we have also Isaac Mwaura. And we do have as well Senator Pogisu joining us this morning. We're eagerly waiting for Jeremiah Kioni. He seems to be running late today. This is unlike him, but we're eagerly waiting for him. Okongo Mogeni is away. Anyang Nyong'o also, he's away. We continue with the conversation as well with our legislators. Alice, Good morning.
Morning,
Isaac. Yes. Pogisio.
Morning.
Morning. You see now the headline today, it's me against you.
It shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be. Not really me against you, but of course we want just to canvass this. What is really happening as far as the Salaries and Remuneration Commission is concerned? You're now threatening, first of all, we saw that there was a threat of 80% slash from the SRC. You, of course, are holding the upper hand on this, but they've moved to court to try and challenge these 250,000 shillings. So I know this really puts you in a pickle this morning because it's affecting you. But let's now just slice and dice this together and see where it is headed. We begin with Isaac Maura, since he came in first. Sir, good to see you.
Thank you.
So looking at the headlines today, this is the splash: shame, revenge law to kill SRC. What will be your reaction?
I think there is no revenge law. There is nothing to this effect that I know of. Certainly, we have discussions around how to respond to whatever court cases that have been instigated by Omtata and SRC at the behest of the executive, because we believe the executive is behind this whole push and pull. At some point, SRC was willing to negotiate and to sit with us, but they didn't. And let me say that the independence of Parliament is supreme, whichever way you look at it. We cannot have a situation where people who, it's only members of Parliament who don't earn house allowance. That one is not something, Debarl, that we will have. We have a court case that is very clear about state officers. That was on behalf of the deputy governors. Members of Parliament are state officers. And this idea of thinking that members of Parliament are a punching bag every time there is an issue with SRC, that is not going to be acceptable, I can assure you. We will stand strong. We know we are a minority. We always are, anyway. In any case, we are only 418. But by the end of the day, it looks at the face of it this way. But at the end of the day, if it is about flexing muscle between the various arms of government, then we will see what comes out of it. By the end of the day, people must reason together. We know we cannot have a situation where members of Parliament are cowed into silence simply because people do not understand, how things are done. So I personally don't think this is a revenge law. The legislative aspects of is a preserve of Parliament, and Parliament will exercise its authority over such matters.
Right. But let's get granular to the crux of the matter here and look at some of the issues that have been raised, Alice and Pogisio. First of all, you legislators are planning to amend the SRC Act and make commissioners part-time employees who only earn 200,000 shillings annually or 16,700 shillings monthly. We want to know why you're circling back on what you had earlier, because this amendment was done, I think, barely 2 years ago, right, for the SRC Act, because there used to be part-time commissioners, and of course also their salaries were amended. Why do you want to circle back to what it was before? Are you reacting on this? Shame, revenge, lawmakers to kill SRC? Your reaction, Alice?
Debarl, where you are starting is, again, you are short-circuiting, because you are starting now from conclusions that have been made.
Conclusions?
Yes, you are saying the lawmakers are planning to do ABCD. Debarl, Maura has said it very clearly that all public servants in this country, we are public servants. We are state officers. And there is a standard, within government, and there is standard and policy within government that it really stipulates how you should treat employees. We are the employees of the people in this country. We are representatives of the people. We speak for the people. Apparently, nobody speaks for the members of Parliament, including the media. Your summary, Debarl, and I'm not going to be nice today. To the media, because your summary already has put us at cross purpose and cross war with the public. You have said we have added ourselves salaries irregularly. We have given ourselves packages. We have been called greedy. In fact, even from your summary, we are greedy. So even putting us here to defend our case, you've already prosecuted the case through the media and made a judgment. And this matter is already before the court. Omtata went to court. Previously, the matter of salaries of judges, the facilitation, house allowance, marriage, you know, committee meetings, you know, all these things were before Justice Mwita. I wish you can actually bring to the public the entire judgment of the High Court, because we've never added ourselves a salary when the court says no. Or we've never even ourselves added you know, members of parliament are workers. We have Parliamentary Service Commission. I have never seen the Parliamentary Service Commission, even their spokesperson, their secretary, the chair, critically being, you know, interviewed on this particular matter. We are obviously then left to look at the members of parliament. We don't discuss how you increase. It is the Parliamentary Service Commission. But if issues are being discussed, then MPs have a right to call for a kamkunji and find out what is being said between SRC, the court, and Parliamentary Service Commission. I mean, we don't have a union for that matter. So when you say we have 2 residences. Members of parliament have 2 residences. One is in Nairobi, because they have to work from Tuesday to Thursday in parliament. Of course, we understand the geographical setup of our country. The constituencies are everywhere in the country. So I am expected to have a home, or I do have a home in my constituency. But I have then, and I cannot reach Nairobi every day to go back to my constituency. So therefore, how do you then give a salary without a house allowance, and I have to maintain a home in the constituency and a home in Nairobi? You are either going, Kenyans are either going to give MPs per diem or house, or, you know, accommodation, allowance, don't even call it house allowance, so that I can come, get a room in Nairobi. When I finish my business Tuesday to Thursday, I go back. I am in a constituency that, because sometimes of the nature of our work, I would leave parliament, go back, and come back. And I don't even have mileage, because again, I'm supposed to be within the vicinity. To go to Kandara, I need like 96 kilometers to and fro. No, 156 kilometers to and fro. I don't understand why SRC is seeking to prosecute its case in the media. Simple. And this case is not even about SRC. Debarl, I think the minute the media finds out the objective of why these issues are coming the way they are coming, they would actually come to the side of parliament, because parliament is supposed to work independently, like SRC. But parliament, even SRC, is hostage of the executive, who does not know. Right now, SRC makes a decision. Once a decision is made by the commissioners, then the decision is overturned by one person, the chairperson, because of 1 or 2 calls. But the executive wants parliament to stay, you know, to actually be destabilized, so that they do not ask questions, so that they can be subservient, so that they can be rubber stamps on the floor of the house.
So you think SRC is a laptop of
yeah,
the
yes, it is a rubber. Right now, some commissioners are doing their work, but the chairperson will find herself in big problems. I can say that. Because whenever decision is made at the SRC level, we have received that information, and I think she can come and defend herself. Then she gets a call, do not pass what the commission has actually decided. Things are not good. The executive wants to punish parliament, I think because of a section of parliamentarians. There is a big war against parliament, so that parliament, you know, before, the office of the president was the one that was paying allowances, was paying salaries, was deciding whether members of parliament should receive payment. So whenever there is a serious issue on the floor of the house, that the government has an interest that conflicts with the interests of the public, then the executive would say no. They would go to beg. And because we have moved from there, questions like you're now saying that we want to punish them, why should we actually have 9 commissioners drawing allowances and salaries? The chairperson's salary is higher than the MP's salary. Does she say that? The commissioners are earning at the level of the members of parliament or slightly more.
But you had
they do have allowances. Let me finish that point. But we have never even discussed. I mean, Kenyans don't discuss about why the CS, the PS, should actually receive on appointment, a PS receives 11 million shillings.
But
Shillings.
I chuckle at this as well because you...
Can I mention that? Because you see, the whole thing is the executive trying to undermine the House. Every permanent secretary in this country on appointment receives 11 million shillings as a car grant. They have a vehicle, serviced and fueled by the office that they are serving. Are you getting it? Every judge, every judge in this country receives 4 million shillings as a car grant every 4 years. They have a house allowance, but it's only members of parliament who have 2 homes apparently that should not have a house allowance. I think I have said enough. And because what is happening is the media, the Kenyans want to intimidate us so that we don't talk about salaries because I'll be removed. Look, I don't think Kenyans or my voters would remove me for earning a house allowance because they know I have to be in a house. Let us look and see whether the MP is entitled seriously to a house allowance. There is no, she's not supposed to determine. The commission should not determine about sitting allowances. She can determine about remuneration, salary, but not how many times I should sit.
So is this within the remit of PSC or is within the remit of SRC? But I chuckle to hear you say, Alice, that they're earning more than the legislators right now, because you're the same people who actually amended this particular SRC Act, right? When they were actually serving as part-time commissioners, you awarded them. I remember also the chair of SRC was actually the lowest paid chair of all the commissioners. But this was amended by you. Now you want to actually take it back.
Salaries, most of the time, salaries are determined by the ranking of the public servants, because they are ranked higher. And even the bill that was supposed to deal with ranking, you know, even ranking and names and titles in this country, the bill has stayed in parliament. Okay. For about 5 years, because the executive has threatened try sign it. I mean, when the chair of the PSC is told, try to sign it, I will not sign it. If you pass it, bring to me, sign it. That is intimidating parliament.
Pogisio, you hold with a view here, because first of all, she says that the chair, she's highly paid, more than the legislators. And I'm asking the same question because now you're seeking to amend this SRC Act to go back to where it was before, them to serve as part-time commissions.
Yes, we leave 3.
You leave 3. Yeah. Why didn't you consider that then?
No, because it's wastage.
Thank you. Let's say for Pogisio.
We leave 3. It's wastage.
It is wastage right now. Yes. But you had the opportunity to amend this now.
Even we are proposing to reduce parliament.
Okay.
Through the referendum.
So the referendum also is cut and dry, so that we are going for a referendum.
No, I'm saying that those are proposals.
They're proposals. Yes, okay, let's say from Pogisio.
Thank you, Debarl. I think she has covered most of what I probably would. The two members have covered. One of the things that I'd like to stress is that I think we sensationalize anything that has to do with parliamentary allowances so much that I think the idea is to create a wedge between us and the voters, which is not very good. Because if I were to speak about your salaries in those great details, even you, Debarl, you would say, why are you going that way? I mean, everybody would like to keep a little bit of what they earn. But since we are since we are public, we're elected by the public, maybe it's okay for them to pay us or to know how much we get paid. Now, what bothers us is not even the amounts involved. It is the way in which it's handled, the way in which the chairperson of SRC, for example, and make it look like we are stealing from the public. And here is a situation where a commission deals with another commission. I think Alice has explained it very well. We are the workers, and we are now meant to be here to debate when a commission should be talking to another commission. So, but secondly, Debarl, there is no way money can leave central bank or money can leave treasury without the law. Money cannot be allowed through the budget without the law. So I think that some of the things is just wananchi are being taken through something they may never understand, because somebody has allowed it. Parliamentarians cannot go to treasury and force them to pay that money out to the Parliamentary Service Commission. So Even when you go to court.
But that's why you want to amend the law.
But you know what released the money in the first place? How did you get the money? Because it's not that we just walk into central bank and get money we want. We walk into treasury and take the money we want. We must understand that there's a process that takes a long time. And by the time that an allowance is allowed, then it's a big process that has taken place. So we are just saying.
So you think SRC, they're actually misinformed with the move to the courts right now? They don't have any valid case because of what you're telling me, that there's no money that has been released, the 250,000. So this is irregular allocations of allowances. Where is it coming?
So will they take the treasury to court? Take whoever gives the money to court. If they follow the law, is this money gotten illegally? And so why would there be a problem, Debarl, with the Parliamentary Service Commission and SRC as commission to commission, government to government, you know, that kind of thing, institution to institution, work out what are the problems, instead of all this thing that you feel like you want to rush and stop it in court, and then there is a court case, and now when parliamentarian wants to use what they have to amend the law, it becomes another problem. Again, the media now says this is what we want to do. So I mean, we have to, if you're taken to court, you defend yourself in court. Okay, and now here too, if we amend this, if this thing is amended, which we cannot anticipate until it is amended, until it comes to the floor of the House, but we are saying basically that let us allow the processes of government to government, I mean commission to commission, to take place, and let's not make it look like. In fact, let me tell you, we started Verify. I was a member of Parliament way back when the salary was 10,000 shillings. And parliamentarians have always been, even when we were earning 10,000, it was like we were stealing from the public, you know. And a teacher would earn more than that. A headmaster probably would earn more than that at that time. But I'm just saying, let us not make it look like members of parliament are stealing from the public. The people they are going to ask for votes from. I think that's what we should try and avoid, because that's pitting us against our own voters. And actually, if you were to ask the voters properly, they would tell you the problems that members of parliament have as well, as Alice has said, having two homes, having to be everything to everybody at the same time. So I'm just saying, I think we are not probably the right people to defend this thing or to talk about it. But now that we have a chance, let's handle this thing in a way that, you know, a commission to commission does. And again, as Alice has said, if you give preferential treatment to judges or to the executive and they don't even talk about it, all this information, nobody talks about it.
Nobody talks about it.
Nobody says, let's take the permanent secretary to court because they get this and also get this. But members of parliament, immediately you get that, you become a target. I mean, I think people should begin to see why.
But yeah, then it's up to you to make it very limpid for the public to actually not be none the wiser as far as this allowances is concerned. If the principal secretaries or these other state officers, they have the structured well laid out, why then is it very clear from parliamentarians and legislators as well, I mean the legislators should say, that we have all these structures well laid out, and this is what maybe is within the Parliamentary Service Commission, or I don't know if it's really captured within the Constitution. Isaac?
I think
I know this is a bit squeamish topic, but unfortunately it's on the headlines we have now. We cannot escape it.
I think the Daily Nation just wants to sell its newspaper.
You think so?
We must congratulate you for this, because by the end of the day, you should have been the ones, even, we are not the ones responsible for this headline. Why haven't you profiled the PSS and ministers who get 300,000 shillings for responsibility allowance every month?
But this is the matter which is in court right now.
Through some voucher system. No, there's nothing in court here. This is just speculative journalism by my friend David Mwere. You cannot prove anything that is written here. This is hearsay.
Why is it speculative?
If there was a law before Parliament, Debarl, then you could say the bill proposes such and such. But this is just hearsay. And some of those journalists were actually asking me to comment on this story after Wakamukunji. I said, no. But you hear gossip here or there, then you make it a headline so that everybody can, and then you even start with the word shame. So you already have prosecuted the matter. You have actually made us villains to the public. And yet, you do not question how on earth, let's be very clear, in terms of the order of precedence, who are the public officials that are, are most responsible to the public? Is the president, the deputy president, the members of parliament, both Senate and National Assembly, the MCAs and governors. Those are the people that draw mandate from the public. So when you now come and say there are some in-betweeners, there are some interlocutors who have to be approved through parliament, then they go ahead. You know, when these people are coming to look for jobs, they are very meek. In fact, I lost one of my parliamentary committees for defending one of them. I wish I couldn't have been that vociferous. Because by the end of the day, they want to look down upon members of parliament. Members of parliament cannot be punching bags, where every time you need something, if you need school fees, if you need social welfare dispensers, at the end of the day, when you say they need a house, it is a problem. Then the question is very simple, Debarl. Let us remove all house allowances for everybody. Then it would be very clear. When you say you have a consolidated salary, that was the same argument that was advanced under the deputy governors. Because what is consolidated salary? You see, you go back and forth. You do not want to actually facilitate members of parliament to do their job, and then you turn around and say that they are the ones who have adopted. There is no single member of parliament.
My employer won't give me a mortgage and also a house allowance at the same time.
No. Mortgage is voluntary. It is not mandatory. If you look at even the amount of money that members of parliament pay in terms of the interest rate, it's the same for all public servants. It is nothing special. The contract of a member of parliament is 5 years. People have to pay this money within those 5 years. You cannot say that mortgage is in lieu of house allowance. Nowhere in the world that has ever happened. It's like saying because you can take a loan, you should not pay this. It is not a good practice. And in any case, why is it that then the law only changes when it comes to members of parliament? What is this inconsistency? If you look at the way SRC behaved, when the court ordered that the deputy governors be paid, they just wrote a correspondence to the Council of Governors, and they asked them to go ahead and pay. Why has that not happened?
Okay, but we need to take a short break right now, Alice. We'll come back to you.
You are mixing two things. And that's what
no, I just wanted to get clarity.
The
at
house
least
allowance and the mortgage.
And the mortgage. That is what I'm getting as. This is what the clarity I wanted from you as well. We want to take a short break right now. But if history will bear us down, and you're saying that this is all speculative. We've had you before with the SRC and have this particular part as well, where you threatened also to slash some of their allowances and their salaries with Sarah Serem as well. So history has recorded that actually you want to do that. This
You're anticipating debate now, Debarl. Let's wait for the time there's such a bill.
Okay, just a
then
moment.
We can debate.
Thank you. We want to take a short break. When we circle back, of course, we continue with the debate as well with legislators here and what is on the front page of the Daily Nation as far as the SRC is concerned with the salaries and the allowances that they seek to slash. They tell us, oh, this is purely speculative. But how is it then? We want also to hear from you. Hit us on Twitter. AM Live NTV is the Twitter handle. AM Live NTV, our profile name on Facebook. And 20686, our SMS portal as well. Thank you for your valued company. Let's see you on the other side of the break. threatening to actually slash this by 80%, and we're actually looking at that keenly, and that is what is headlining the front page of the Daily Nation this morning. Shame, it says, lawmakers kill SRC. That is what we have on the front page. Revenge law to kill SRC. This is, they're saying, here are the details of a scheme by MPs angered by salary watchdogs B2 term they agreed to abuse their legislative power and wipe out the regulator. This story is tucked away on page 5 of the Daily Nation this morning. But also, you have a snippet of what they're talking about. The dirty plot inside Parliament when legislators are planning to amend the SRC Act and make commissioners part-time employees who only earn 200,000 shillings annually or 16,700 shillings monthly. And also to show, that is on the budget, they are determined to keep their 250,000 monthly allowance. They have already factored it in this year's budget. And the effect of that, the ripple effect, it means that the taxpayer will have to pay 104 million shillings every month to house MPs, which translates to 1.2 billion shillings annually. All that story continues on page 5 of the Daily Nation today. And of course, we have our legislators who are solidly denying this morning, and they're saying this headline is purely speculative. It is also bereft of facts. This is just a pure make of the media houses as far as this particular headline is concerned. And of course, we're looking to sell our papers this morning. This is what we hear from our legislators today. Let's continue with the debate. But what do you reckon as well as far as this development is concerned? We've been here before, as history will bear us down. This is not the first time that we've had a spat between the SRC and also the members of parliament as well. We've seen them also going full steam ahead to actually slash some of their allowances as well. But now they want to revert and, a clawback on what they'd given them earlier. Remember the SRC, we had commissioners there who were on part-time basis, but we had an amendment to this act. This was April last year, that actually was changed to put them actually on full-time capacity and also increase their salaries as well. But now the MPs want to claw back on them because of this particular development with the 250,000 shillings house allowance. So is this do you think this is a very providential time for this particular move, or this is just a knee-jerk reaction from the legislators? Alice, you had to say something before you took a short break.
You see, Debarl, first and foremost, the main mandate of SRC is to determine the remuneration of public officers. And if you look back, you won't remember anywhere, because the whole public sector is very big. You won't remember anywhere, and we are saying the whole public sector, including the county level, the two government levels, we need to actually look and, have standardization and standards of how you pay workers, what are the packages, so that you are not discriminating any particular category. Like even in the county levels, we have big problems because you'll find that the administrative arm of government, the national government, that is the commissioners, the DCCs, those people falling under the Interior Ministry, they are serving at the same level with the county government workers, the administrators of the county governors, the ward administrators, the sub-county administrators, and they're actually earning maybe like half of what the county government workers are earning. So you'll find that then that is also not very good. And they are asking, why should I have the same jurisdiction, the same kind of work, and then the county government is paying their workers more money?
But isn't
I'm just putting
all of us. A valid concern you raised, but isn't it also within your remit to try and question the SRC on this? If you're not streamlining,
but the SRC has no time to look at that. It is busy every day.
No, but you have the powers as a parliament to summon the commission and question this.
They have been summoned. They have been saying they have been working on it, and you see that there are 9 commissioners. We would expect better delivery. But they are busy doing politics around MP salaries. So I was saying their main mandate is to deal with the remuneration. And what is remuneration? Remuneration is payment for work or service rendered, service done. But things like house allowances, whether I am provided with a house by my employer, whether Debarl, any worker is given transport to and fro to work, really the employer determines how much. But you see, then that's where they are missing the point. However, I was trying to say, this headline, as Mwaura says, is very deceiving. It's a dishonest headline. It's actually the same strategy of the same people who have been bashing Parliament so that Parliament in this country can be weak. You know, Parliament
who are
is
these
supposed
people?
to oversight the executive. I mean, the executive, who would benefit from a weak Parliament? It is the executive would benefit from a weak Parliament. You see, I told you, before the Constitution, Parliament was being paid after the executive, the office of the president, has said pay them.
You suggest that
so
this,
now,
this headline
what we
is
are
purely,
saying,
yeah.
whatever may have been agreed about house allowance or provide a house for members of Parliament, was agreed between Treasury, as my brother there said, between Treasury, between our Parliamentary Service Commission and SRC. You know, because of course sometimes you want to have a conversation, and I think the conversation, even at the media level, should be around there so that you interrogate issues, find out whether there is a good case for members of Parliament to be housed, and then tell the public, because this is their salary, because they have 2 homes, tell the public why they should pay for their own house allowance. And therefore, I think that it is unfair, unfortunate for the media, nation media, to mislead the public. We have no bill on the floor of the House at all. There is no bill.
Was there any meeting on
and
Thursday?
Even if a bill is brought,
was there any
I don't
meeting on
think there
Thursday?
will be apologies, because look, all the commissions, there has been discussions that there is need to cut down the wastages or unnecessary losses by the government, especially when you look at all the commissions. They work between, they have 9, maximum 9. We have the Acts of Parliament that puts them in place, that establishes the commissions. And if you look at the Constitution, Article 250, Debarl, you'll find that each commission shall consist at least 3, but not more than 9. Which then means, if there is an outcry that, look, we need to look at the cutting of wastages, it's not this commission that is targeted. It is all the commissions, and we have very many commissions.
Thank you.
And we need to see whether they are earning money without, pro rata work.
All right.
Because actually, they should not be hanging around the commission secretariats. We have a management team.
Thank you.
In all the commissions, not just them.
We don't want this to be very adversarial between the legislators and the media. We're here also to put our minds together and see what is the way forward. You claim also that then we should find reasons why MPs should be housed, isn't it? As in, should be getting this particular house.
Should they have a house?
Should they have a house or not?
And how much?
And
how much?
That SRC, they have bought cars to themselves without permission. They reallocated, yes, they reallocated monies, and they are here telling us about wastage. They should first be surcharged for doing such illegalities.
Which monies were reallocated?
Monies to buy themselves vehicles, without any permission. So when they are talking about being prudent, this preoccupation that members of Parliament, if they have any increment, everybody will come demanding. Because I have engaged SRC, I must confess, on these matters. They say, oh, if we give MPs, or every other person will come claiming. But the truth of the matter, even if you zero-rated all the salaries of members of Parliament, the wage bill will still be high. They are the same people who listed about 191, salaries, allowances. So many of them, they have not gone ahead to regulate. They went and did job evaluation. We have never known the report of this. They went ahead to say they are going to restructure job groups. We've not seen that actually affecting. But they are very quick, to make headlines and to rush to court and to appear in the media when it comes to members of Parliament. And they are just following what Sarah Serem did. If you look at the allowances that these commissioners are earning, 40,000 per sitting. And theirs is unregulated. They have a salary. This chairperson earns over 1 million, but every time she sits, including talking on TV, I'm sure, she gets 40,000 shillings. So what kind of dishonesty are we having here?
40,000 shillings?
Yes. 40,000 shillings
from
for
the
every
commission,
sitting allowance.
No, make it clear, not from the media house, but from the commission itself.
How can you be sure that that is also not part of their job? Because to them, remuneration means everything. So we are engaging on a propaganda war. It is like, I must be seen to be working when I'm only muzzling members of Parliament. You will not succeed.
Because that's their powerhouse.
We will also flex our muscles. Then we see how far we can go, because that is all it is all about.
But why this muscle? It seems it can be taken from the previous parliament, with the current parliament. It shall be ongoing. How can we get a prime solution to this? Pogiso, you seem to be very subdued today. You don't want to really comment on this.
It's all sorted. I guess what I'm saying is that we have, for example, our speakers. speakers of the House are also members of parliament, isn't it? They're also members of parliament. Yeah. And they have spoken on this matter. These are the heads of these institutions. They have spoken on this matter. You've also heard from the leadership of the houses. They have spoken on this matter.
Thank you.
You've heard from our own Parliamentary Service Commissioner. What I don't understand is how, when members of parliament call themselves to a meeting, an informal meeting, in which actually there is no media coverage, then the media knows more than we know.
You're even reading from the papers.
Coming from there. We don't do some of these things. So you can tell. If
actually, Debarl, tell us more.
Yeah, I tell you more.
Yes.
Let's just hear from Ed and Duale before you comment. You say that our leaders have spoken. Let's hear what also the leader of majority had to say about this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whether the editors don't earn house allowance.
Whether the editors don't earn.
In this media house.
Which has allowance?
House allowance. A house allowance plus the salary for work done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's hear from Ed and Duale first, then we'll come back to know if the editors earn house allowance.
Yes. SRC cannot have its cake and eat it. Either as a country, we will agree in principle that all state officers, whether they are serving in the executive, whether they're serving in the county governments, whether they're serving in the judiciary, whether they're serving in the legislature, that all state officers shall not benefit from house allowance. And we can agree as a country. But SRC cannot purport to say that certain offices which are held by state officers across all the three arms of government and across the two levels of government, some can enjoy house allowance benefits while others will not.
Of course, Waswahili wanasema mwambia ngoma uvutia kwa.
Now, do we need to say more?
Before you move from there.
Before you move from there?
Yes. Did you see? Can you see? Did you see the head? Did you see how the news called us?
Legislators versus SRC.
Yeah, you give SRC their proper name and then you lose our name. I mean, deliberately pointing.
House of shame, for example.
You know, basically that's where the media drives the agenda. Because, I mean, look at that headline. Look at how you're calling.
Yeah, can we get it back?
Get it back, can you say?
Unless we play the bites again.
No, I mean, you know.
Yeah.
You saw what they're calling us. There, look at that.
I think money has been poured.
Yeah.
These legislators have been actually for a while now. We've been using this particular.
The next time you are going to put MPs on national television.
I mean, look
so which one is better?
So SRC
is nothing that is MPs or the legislators?
What do you mean? Well, how can you say?
If we're talking about the parliament's legislators, and you know the spelling of that, so why would you have that there? And then why didn't you misspell SRC?
But you can see we got the scarecrow quotes there, the legislators there.
No, we do. We do know, but you can do the same for SRC.
In officialdom.
Or anybody else.
Honestly, Debarl,
why?
Okay.
I think you should give, the nation media should give an apology to the country, not even to parliamentarians, because you are insulting the people's representatives. You are trying to make the people's representatives look bad. So you are part and parcel of the cartels that are actually undermining independent institutions. And it is wrong.
But you know what?
It is wrong.
No, Alice.
No, I will say that.
We can't just sit back here and let you...
When you come up with shame, revenge, law to kill SRC, number one, we are not killing SRC.
But we want you to come forthrightly and tell us who are these cartels.
No, when you have those kind of headlines, when you have said shame and we are killing SRC, you have already determined. That's why we are saying we need an honest conversation. We don't need this name calling from the media.
But what assurance are you getting from the legislators here?
There is no assurance because
no, just a
this
moment.
is a matter that is in
Before I even ask the question, what assurance are we getting that SRC's budget will not be slashed? once the estimates will be read
No,
by
no,
you.
why would you? So that is the agenda.
No.
That is the agenda. That the media is there.
It is high time we have activated Bunge and Senate TVs so that we can also have our own coverage.
Do you have? By the way, you cannot and you will not get any assurance because it's not SRC's budget alone. The country doesn't have enough budget to actually entertain unnecessary wastage. And then we have said it. Let's cut down wastage. So if we find that there is wastage, even on their side, if the money,
what will be the wastage? That is what I want to know. What
if
will
the
be the
past
wastage?
is not enough, because we look at all the budget for everybody, and in fact, you will find that every other government sector that comes before the House, they never get what they ask for, because the package, the pass is not going to meet every other requirement.
But we don't get 80% slash.
Actually,
that's a huge study of some.
No, let me say this, Debarl. If today Parliament was to slash advertisement money for government, media houses would come complaining about the fact that now government is not being giving business to, is actually stifling information to the public. Recently, this Daily Nation still had a run-in with bloggers, the so-called bloggers. I mean, there was even a talk about having a party for auctioneers. You see, these are some of the things that we are talking about. Let us not just try to pigeonhole a problem and say this is where the problem is. Legislators in Kenya are not the most paid in the world, by the way. It's another big fallacy that has been sold time and again. Because we interact with legislators from other countries, and certainly they are well facilitated, and the roles that they play are not even anywhere close to this social welfare issue. You know, one of the things that I found very interesting about SRC, let me explain this, Debarl, is that when they were agreeing that the people at the county level should have, the officials should have houses, including speakers of county assemblies, they said they are able to host state functions. Members of parliament will tell you that people just knock at their doors every other time. They have to come in there, they have to eat, they have to do all those kind of things. But that is, and this is, they are doing this as part of their jobs, whether formally or informally, whether you call it oversight or representation, it is part of what people have to do for them to be close to their electorate. Then all along you come along and say, oh no, we cannot be paying money for people to be living in hotels. Members of parliament don't stay at Intercontinental or whatever. In fact, if you look at where they have had to go and maybe stay, it's far away from those posh neighborhoods that people talk about. But then it has to be the villain of the people. You know, it has to be that these are people who are conniving to stifle from the public. And if you look carefully, the wastage that is within the executive is insurmountable. You cannot even compare the kind of monies that are being wasted by the executive itself, as amorphous and nebulous as it is. But it has to be pigeonholed to members of parliament. They must be the most responsible, and they must be prosecuted without being heard.
But why should we be bellyaching here as legislators? And you have that opportunity in parliament to address this. That is what I wonder.
What opportunity when you are prosecuting us in the public?
This, if the executive is actually splurging a lot of money as wastage, as you say, you have the remit.
Then help us. Let that be the headline so that we can discuss it tomorrow.
But if you don't do it, how do we pick it?
But how have you picked this one? This is rumors. How did you pick about SGR and the African Star Company?
But you say Parliament. You say that this is purely speculative, right? It is rumors that you actually.
It is gossip.
For example, Debarl.
Yes, please.
I'm sure you can access the entire budget from all the sectors, including parliamentary budget, including SRC budget and other commissions. We are right now saying, why can't you have a media campaign that we actually support Parliament to reduce the vehicles that follow some of the CSs, you know, because it's another wastage. Why should a CS have 3 vehicles as chase cars? They are not even a risk.
Okay.
You know, their life is not really a risk.
And also, Debarl, we are not bellyaching. We actually are trending. We are actually trying to express to you some form of oppression against members of parliament that nobody wants to listen to.
Okay. So Pogisio, we have Ali saying that this actually also, SRC is a lapdog of the executive. Of course. That the executive is using SRC to frustrate the legislators because, yes, also the political tone and tenor is changing. We can see there is, vacillation on both sides of extremes right now. And I don't know if this also politics is really playing into this. Do you read or do you actually hold with her view that she's advancing this morning, that the executive or the SRC is a lapdog of the executive?
We have explained to you that whenever a mention is made of salaries or any allowance for the members of parliament, the executive come in immediately. Now, and we're saying, why doesn't the media then go into that other side and say, how is the executive paid? And give us, splash it over this, the front pages of your
But the
papers.
question I'm really advancing as well is this, that yes, if we have the executive or the SSC being the laptop of the executive, and you say this headline is purely speculative, how then do we, are we assured that also your notion is not purely speculative?
No, we are
Because it's not factual. You don't have you don't have any scratch of proof to actually prove the SRC is a laptop of the executive.
Well, we do have a lot of indications that they are, and even the comments coming from the executive after this, you'll see. So we're saying basically this headline, Debarl, this headline screams as though it is the truth. And first of all, if Mwananchi picks this, they will hate the MP, they will hate the representative. I mean, what is this thing? And you say, look at how, look at who is accusing us. You know, so you have a situation where you're saying the picture is of the SRC chair here, but really the media is the one doing the job. I mean, this SRC has been enjoined by the media, enjoined by their other friends, the people who have also enjoined themselves here. I've seen, even in the court cases and so on, enjoined, because the mention of members of parliament. And I'm saying, I think it's about time we turn flip side of this story and begin to focus on the members of the executive. See what benefits they have.
It sells to bash members of parliament.
Okay.
This is biashara. This is business.
I want to also just question the reason being also projected here by Honorable Isaac Mwaura, that social welfare, that also because you need this money because of social welfare. People come begging for funerals, expenses, school fees, and all that jazz. But don't you think then it's a broken system that you are carrying right now in the name of social welfare? Because you as legislators, we have empowered you with, of course, the instruments that you have right now to make sure that our livelihoods from the constituencies are improved. The fact that we're coming with bail in our hands to beg from you, then it really questions also the effectiveness of your delivery. On the ground, that you're not delivering the social amenities that we need. That's why we have all these expenses come, that we don't have good schools, we don't have, there's no money on the ground. That's why we come to you as legislators. So how can you address this? And of course, this is a catnip of politicians to actually make sure that the constituents, are ever needing the legislators, so that of come next cycle of elections as well,
I don't think
that's the reason as well.
You are not justified.
So that's what I'm saying. Social welfare, it's a wrong-headed way of actually telling that we need this money.
Let me tell you this, Debarl.
Yes.
I'm simply not saying that we're justifying house allowance because of social welfare. No.
No, but just
Those
broadly
are two-
looking at,
those are two different
I'm
things.
not coupling the house allowance with the social welfare, but I'm looking at the social welfare aspect of it, of why
Actually-
you've justified before why you need the money, and
No,
you
no,
need
no.
better pay.
No, Debarl, honestly, that is a whole topic altogether. And if it's a broken system, it's broken. And if that were to work, so that people would link themselves up with the sufferings of the people so they can benefit, then majority of members of parliament will always be coming back. The truth of the matter is that there's nobody who has enough money to feed a village. What we have is a system, what I call, and I think I said it on this national television here, it's poverty-producing politics, where it is like a vicious cycle. And that is not going to end because Mwaura is in parliament. Tomorrow he may not be in parliament. It will be the same cycle. We just need to agree as a country on how to stop these kind of things. In a country where people are wallowing in poverty, where there is dependency, within value systems where giving is really, when you give, that is when people, supplicate towards you, generally. That is not something that is going to change just because there's a house allowance or not. I don't think those two things are not interrelated. What I was trying to insinuate and that, to actually pass across is that members of parliament have people coming streaming to their houses. Every other time, it actually becomes an office in itself. And when you say that then nobody deserves such, you are basically not actually accepting the roles of members of parliament. And for SRC, I see somebody here, Ibrahim Faouz, asking me a question that even amongst civil servants, they have been told that those who are in county headquarters, their house allowances should be raised, you see? But for members of parliament, it's a problem. Within the public service, there are people who have degrees and they are serving, under officers who do not have similar qualifications as their bosses. Those are the things that SRC should be dealing with. But just to chase headlines by the fact that they can bash members of parliament, and because they know members of parliament will be unpopular, for you as a media house to call us legislators, you are joining those people who came to parliament in the 11th parliament with the pigs, written names of people, including Duale and others. I mean, certainly there must be some form of decorum. How is it that members of parliament must be the most discredited, the most disrespected, the most, railed against? Why? What is this preoccupation about it? And by the way, the ball today it is us, tomorrow it could be you. People may decide to elect you. It will be the same issue. So we must agree at some point that if the society is broken, it is not members of parliament who make it break. And I think it is not fair to say that we have been given all the powers to improve on the lives of Kenyans. I think that is not true. That's not a preserve of parliament. In fact, it is actually it is more of the executive, because the work of members of parliament is to make laws. The executive is the one that implements. So when the executive fails to deliver and it doesn't want parliament to question, then it must emasculate parliament so that we become ineffectual, so that we become subservient, so that we must not put them on their spot.
Right. Okay, so
Yeah,
let's wind up on it.
Okay, just to say this, Debarl, that we are just like everybody else. If I traveled with you to the constituency anywhere in my county, you might even earn more than me. But people, even if we come from the same county, you go home to your home, nobody will come and bother you, isn't it? But they will come over to the member of parliament to present their needs. Why do people think that? Because already the media has projected that these are the people who get so much money, they get so much house allowance, now they're asking for more. And so, this is actually a very difficult way of selling your stories. Now, I'm just saying basically that why is it that, as we have asked you the question, even Alice gave you details of what other people earn, who nobody questions. And why is it that this particular thing about house allowance for members is creating such a furor? And yet we have told you that members of parliament are subject of the populace. And we also deserve to live in a very decent place. I mean, not just a place, but also a place where you can serve your people. And so I'm just basically adding that we need today to discuss. Today you have discussed this MP salary. It's in court anyway, so we can't go into too much detail. We can't even argue very much. It's in court for some reason. But we are here saying we are only servants of the people. And as servants of the people, we need to be treated like any other servant of the people in this country. Three things we do. We represent, we legislate, and we oversight. And those three things, you can imagine doing that without the resources that you need to go and a good allowances that you need to go with. So let's lay out what the MP lays out. Let's lay out the full allowance of a member of parliament. Compare with everybody else. Let's put it out there. Let's make it clear. Let's splash everywhere. And then see who really has the net that can sustain them. A net of the pay that sustains them. So let's just check. Because I think the more we keep talking about this, it looks like we are defending ourselves. We are supposed to defend everybody else.
So why can't we come up with
now, can you create also a body that defends members of parliament then?
Yes, are you doing?
Defend you?
Yeah.
Why
we're defending everybody.
No, you can defend yourself. You're
like
defending yourself on this. Why can't you also...
Like tomorrow,
No,
we defend everybody.
No, just a moment.
No, we cannot come defending ourselves in respect of personal emoluments. It's wrong, emoluments. But it is wrong for us to be the ones defending ourselves. You are defending SRC.
But why
so
do we have
somebody
the...
should actually come and defend us.
But we have the commission, the Parliamentary Service Commission. What is it doing? They're not doing an effective job.
And they will give you all the... Ask them. You haven't called them really. There is no serious engagement.
The chair won't
because
come.
It is easy.
Because
it is easy to come up with these headlines. You know what, Debarl, you are doing is give the dog a bad name. Then kill it. Give the dog a bad name, kill it.
But if it's a stray dog, if it's a stray dog, of course,
there is no stray dog. We are people's representatives.
Are you a stray dog?
It's actually media has failed to respect the people's representative. In fact, you are undermining democracy in this country. The media has consistently undermined democracy in the name of freedom of association and expression. And I mean, we cannot understand why, for example, you have these headlines. Tomorrow, please bring the headline of how much from top level, from the president to the chief. You also find that we actually need to defend the chief. Then bring the judiciary, because those are three arms of government. Let's have a comparison so that we end this debate.
Yes. You know what would be fair, Debarl, is if we were sitting here as employees ourselves, and on this other side there will be SRC workers, not even the commission.
Yeah, the workers.
Because that's what's happening here. We are people who are benefiting, and we're trying to defend ourselves.
No, it just happens that now you are my panelist
and
every Monday.
We need
at
to
least,
move.
So this squarely, we need to move.
You know, the media has been used to intimidating members of parliament. Let's speak about this because they don't want, they will run away. Look.
And remember, Debarl, we are the first to defend the media.
Yeah, we will go to work for our constituents. And clearly, nobody, no other people's salary. You know, our salary actually, to be honest, belongs to our electorate.
Okay, let's just wind up on this.
Electorate.
Let's wind up on this first of all, and question. I think it's also eluding me, but I wanted to ask you on this note. Where's my question?
We have lost.
Let's bring a block a bit.
Move to another one.
We take a break.
Yes, there it comes. Why can't we have from you then an austerity sort of measure bill crafted by one of you? You say that we need to have all the salaries streamlined from the executive, the judiciary. Why can't we have some of these ominous bills that you use to tuck in some of these bills that don't need to be actually, looked in keenly or get granular with? Why can't we have an austerity measure bill in this country?
If we continue this way with this kind of headlines, it is coming.
You see,
it is coming.
Yes.
Before you talk about austerity measure bill, Debarl, the SRC's mandate, you should actually interrogate the mandate of the SRC so that you will see they have failed. And part of the problems we have with them is incompetence. Because by now, this is the second, is it the second or the third SRC in terms of their terms? So that they are supposed to have streamlined all these gaps.
This is the third.
Yes, including cutting down whatever.
Thank you.
Across the entire public sector. And where we have poor salaries, also look at them and raise those salaries.
If you want austerity measures, Debarl,
yes,
you do the same thing for everybody. Let the world know what they get. Splash it here. Then the whole country gets angry.
Who is paying the media not to disclose the salaries of the executive?
So you think the media is being paid?
Yes, it's being paid.
No, actually, this is what number of headline on the same story. Remember, you actually published the 191 allowances about 2 or 3 months ago. That story died. That is where most of the money goes. In fact, most of the public servants, they don't survive on their salaries. They survive on these allowances. But then you kill that story so that you can lap on this one and keep on harping on it so that members of parliament can be the poster boys and poster girls, the face of salary increment. And if you look at even our 2.7 trillion budget, remove the whole allocation for parliament, you still have a bloated budget, right? If you look at even the amounts of money that goes to parliament, is not even equal to one project, one medium-sized project of the executive. And yet...
Ghost projects.
Yeah, ghost projects, most of them. The amount of money owed to contractors in this country is over 400 billion. Yet, this is not the focus of our conversations today.
Yeah.
Only about, you said 1.2 billion against a budget of 2.7 trillion. But it has to be like the biggest sin ever committed since man came on earth. I mean, it's not fair. And you know very well that members of parliament, they have no union, they have no whatever. When PSC is engaging, why haven't we seen a counter headline from the side of the Parliamentary Service Commission? The media says there are 3 sides to the story. Where is the story of PSC? When you put Duale there, who is a leader of majority in the National Assembly, even the title itself is misleading to the public, Legislators. So already, whatever he says, he's a looter. In fact, he's a chief looter. So what do you want to listen from a looter?
But also, Debarl, house allowance or providing a house for an MP is not equal to mortgage. It's not equal to
which is true.
mortgage. It's not equal. But you see,
look at the interest rate
like,
that also you're taking this mortgage at 3%.
So are the other civil servants. It's not our
least
own prison.
Not just, yes.
Yes,
You're the
including
lowest
judiciary.
actually
No,
earning,
even the
as far as
judiciary.
No,
3%?
Everybody, even the judiciary.
Yeah,
Please
everybody.
find out. That's
Okay.
why you need
But
to
yeah,
find
find
out.
out.
I have all the details just for the MPs.
So,
not
but
the
the point
judiciary.
is, when I get a house allowance, if I get a house allowance, I don't get a house. You understand? If I were to be given a house, obviously, which I believe I'm entitled to, then I wouldn't get a house allowance.
But the
And-
assumption
but-
is, that as you're winding up,
but
I
I
really
may
want us to
still
wind up
get
on
I
this.
don't know if
a
you
mortgage.
know.
The
but
assumption is we give you good money, that actually even that
That's
house
the
allowance
assumption.
is
No,
really
that is
tucked
an
away.
assumption.
Yeah?
That- I'm glad you
the,
said
tiny-
assumption.
the assumption is because you said that right now, the way we get all these facts and figures, it is really wrong-headed. You've
Do
actually
you know
compared your
we
salaries
are
with other
number
legislators
43
from...
in the earning of the
For-
country?
for-
Number
for-
43.
For us to be fair on this,
Who are the other 42?
please, we bring these salaries to the media,
including
to the
Debarl,
public.
including the county governments.
Yes.
By the way, they get the same loan at the same rate as us.
Yeah.
Down at the counties.
Bring these things out.
So you
Debarl.
just
then
find
we can
out.
have a public
All right.
conversation.
Maybe we're best, yeah, we need then to broaden our discussion as well.
Correct.
Thank you. Also, do you know the Chinese are here? And they may be also
Yeah, this is
hired
a more
as
important
nannies for you, right? Soon you'll be having a ching chong teaching your children
Ching
Mandarin in your houses as well. Because look, they're here and they have the bells of clothes, you know, the imported clothes. This is Mitumba, and you can see this is, they've not given his name, but maybe you can give him a moniker, Ching Wan Hung. Ching Wan Hung is here, and of course you can see the bell of clothes as well. So soon these people, we've had them selling also Mahindi Choma.
Goods.
There might be also in your
Plastic
butchery,
ones.
around you, to sell also your meat as well. This is a Chinese invasion. The Chinese in Gikomba. Traders in second-hand clothes and the imported kitchenware feel the heat as Chinese traders open shop. So since we have these foreigners here and threatening also small traders as well, what is the remit of the legislators on this? Because now it seems Chinese are everywhere. We're importing fish, we're importing toothpicks, and now also they might be coming to our houses also to take care of our children.
I think maybe I can start Debarl and say first. For me, it's a very sad moment for Kenya to see a Chinese putting up goods in a developing country at this level, this basic level. Because you see, there are categories of what a foreigner can actually, of jobs that they can do. And even to get their permits, work permit or business permits, you need to see if it is employment. Is it employment that a Kenyan doesn't have skills, is not trained, there is nobody who can meet that gap before you allow a foreigner to come here to work. Now, when it now comes that they are in Gikomba market, they are in River Road, and the parallel of that is that the goods of our traders have been held in the port since 2017 December, January 2018, and maybe I want to commend the president because there is now some activity that is happening. But you see, we are talking about 1.5 years. Those goods have lost value. Some of them obviously will not be right for the market. The losses have occurred. They have closed their shops, and they have been speaking and talking. I think the Committee for Trade in Parliament has slept on its job, and they are my colleagues. I think they need to give us a solution because obviously the Ministry of Interior, where immigration and then trade ministry, they are the ones supposed to deal with this. As executive, we oversight. So if we are the ones letting the ministry sleep also on its job, then I think they are the public should actually be telling us, hey, you are messing. But you can imagine the government is running the government like this. How many Chinese is, population of China? If we release that population in this small market,
Yes.
we are done. We cannot have our eggs in the market now because the cost of producing one egg in Kenya could be a quarter of what Chinese egg is being produced at. Onions are coming from Tanzania at 15 shillings a kilo. Kenyan farmer cannot grow onion per kilo at 15 bob. Sugar has completely died. Coffee in my Mount Kenya region, To date, the ministry, the executive has not brought the regulations, and we have been asking for the regulations to be able to regulate the market and remove the middlemen, remove the brokers. But you know what, Debarl? The owners of some of these big businesses are also very politically powerful.
And of course, very politically powerful. And this, I think, also was another story that was running on Sunday as well, as far as SGR is concerned, because we have also politicians who, maybe, not to mention the politicians, but some people in this country who are having shadow companies who are benefiting as well from the SGR, of course, the SGR infrastructure as well. Actually, so we are talking about a state capture here, and maybe even some of it.
They come to Gikomba.
Actually, Debarl,
the SGR come to Gikomba. What is it?
It didn't say the Chinese come up to Gikomba. The SGR, we need to look at the contracts there.
So is actually we're having those BAME delivered straight to Gikomba as well. Yeah. I just want to show you what was on the Daily Nation, so maybe you can actually have a snippet of what they are talking about as well. This was on Sunday, yesterday, the 9th. Mystery local owners in special, it says, SGR from before launch of Madaraka Express, a secret meeting landed over the operation of the trains to a newly created special purpose company. With majority Chinese shareholdings and room for Kenyan ownership. Confidential pact shows this. You can have this also if you didn't grab a copy of the Daily Nation, of the Sunday Nation yesterday on page 4 and 5. This is what we were talking about. So all these Chinese people that you see around, now they're in Gikomba, who are protecting them? And when we're talking about work permits, I don't know, okay, forgive my deficiency on the regulations about immigration and all, my knowledge on that, but who gives them the work permits or maybe the trading permits as well?
Trading
actually
licenses.
Trading
licenses.
Let me say this. The story yesterday was quite shocking. I read it, I couldn't just believe. And you know, when the British or the colonialists came to Africa, part of what they used to get to the African market was they would even give us a leader some mirror. And if they look at themselves in the mirror, they are very mesmerized and they give way. There used to be a very strong state called Kona in Congo. And you hear about how slave trade was made very lucrative. So the king of that small enclave would capture his subjects and sell them off, and in exchange for arms. So you get the arms, you keep on capturing your people, then you get money and all of that. And that is how nearly half of the African population was decimated and subjugated. I shudder to imagine the manner in which the Chinese have come to our country, not just our country, but Africa, Debarl, and made a mockery of ourselves. Let me give you an example. Recently, I was at the African Union headquarters. The headquarters have been built at a cost of about $200 million US. That's around about 20 billion. And out there, they have written China aid. 54 African countries could not contribute $3 to $4 million each to build their own headquarters. Now, when there are meetings, they do espionage. Even the computers, this one's called ThinkPad, they are all donated. Recently, even Parliament received 1,000 of them. They can do espionage. They can even see documents as you debate. Before the African Heads of States Summit, they are all over there saying they are doing repairs, so they can back the place.
This is the iPad that actually was installed in Parliament?
The ThinkPad, the laptops.
The laptops.
No, not the iPad, the ThinkPad. But you see somebody somewhere in procurement will say, I will exchange this for procurement. Like they will say they are the ones who bought and they pocket the money. So what am I trying to say? If you look at the contract of running the SDR, it is despicable. In fact, I can say I'm ashamed that I was in the first Madaraka Express. It is totally unacceptable. Because you have a contract that gives all the privileges to the Chinese, all the rights, and running some entity that ideally, in my opinion, is not a going concern. It's actually running at a loss. And they are the ones who even determine the ticketing. You are the same people who profiled the story the other day about how the Chinese are manipulating the ticketing system. They are not having full disclosure. We have had in the Committee of Senate, where I'm a member, Labour, complaints about the way the Kenyans are being mistreated currently in our own country. Now, when you look at the SGR, it seems to be not to be taking our exports abroad. If you look at the avocado issue, where we are supposed to freeze our avocado at them to 20 or 15 degrees negative, and they must be peeled. Which supermarket sells peeled avocados? You know? But some people somewhere, when they went to negotiate, they must have gotten some kickback. They must have gotten some shares in these companies, these shadows. Just like the way we had Safaricom and Mobitele and those kind of things. It's the same thing. We are selling our birthright as we see it for small time gains. And people don't care. We just are a market. And we are the ones who are being mortgaged, Debarl. So it is totally unacceptable. And by the way, don't blame Parliament here, because some of these agreements are never brought to Parliament. When we have debt, it is not brought to Parliament. And we have not interrogated. We have only increased the ceilings of borrowing, which we have since surpassed. You know? So when you see why, and sorry to say this, I'm saying this with a lot of reflection. When you see an African being subjugated, it's being seen as an inferior human being, it is because of these arrangements. It is because of individuals who have no patriotism in their heart. When they go to negotiate for contracts, they only think about themselves. They only think about their businesses. And then we are supposed to clap and say, hey, voila, we have a deal. By the time you know, the fine print has already given all the rights. Because why would you have another company, for heaven's sake, why would you have another company running our railway when you have Kenya Railway Corporation? We did a mistake with RVR, Rift Valley Railways, and even before somebody who had come here with a PowerPoint presentation and almost had taken over that contract. What is it about our people? If you remember the cost of SGR, Debarl, we paid over 40 billion shillings to shadowway landowners who bought land from poor Kenyans and then were able to get money from the government for compensation. You see? So what am I trying to say in short? This is how we are selling our country. And the Chinese will even come and even start being matatu drivers because we have allowed them. I'm sure all what you need to do is to bribe somebody. Recently, I was very shocked in this Nairobi. I saw somebody with the name, is it Mutinda? And this Mutinda man was looking very much Nigerian. But he had a Kenyan ID. And he's running a business in Nairobi. And then he tells me, oh, my mother is the one who was in Nigeria for 26 years. And it's of course a lie. That person cannot even speak some simple Swahili. And yet, he has a national ID. How many Kenyans, including these Chinese, who actually have even the Kenyan passport? Because we don't value ourselves. We are not patriotic. As long as we have some little amounts of money, every good we pass at the border, you know. So we need to really have a serious national conversation about the Chinese. The other day, as I finish on this one, Senator Pogisho is a co-chair of the National Prayer Breakfast. As he was introducing the international guests, when he said Chinese, people just laughed. Said, this was, we are always with them here. You know, it was not news to Kenyans. And of course, obviously, we have also started having children with them, which is also true.
Pogisho.
Well, to discuss this matter,
yes.
you bring back the issue of corruption, basically, in the country. And it is at the heart of corruption. Debarl, to do anything, to arrive to the place where SGR is right now, you started the process of corruption from the beginning. And this is all, of course, documented. It's corruption, corruption, corruption. So SGR is a product of corrupt dealings. And go back to where I told you before, even here in this media, that we get our budget. Our budget always has already been planned with that in mind.
Corruption.
That we will then have this project because this project is going to go to the Chinese, and because it is easier then to do business with the Chinese than to do business with the other people. So we end up having the Chinese all the time. And if you've done it one year, you do it another year, you do it another, it becomes like part of our budgeting. It becomes automatic. That is part of it. We now know, Debarl, that any competition for projects, definitely it will go to Chinese. Okay? Why is that so? I answer a question. So to have to ask ourselves today that they are in Kigomba, where did the rain start to beat us? At what point did the rain start to beat us? Where did we miss the turn as we were going? So you know, with obviously somebody issues them easily. Why? Again, it's easy to do business with them. And how do you do that business?
No. But when you say it is easy to do business with them, what are we talking about truly here? Easy. What is the easiest way to do business with them?
There is a measure, by the way, in business called the ease of doing business.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, so that's what I mean.
But China has been known world over when it comes to the best business practices, that they're not doing it at all, right? We've just mentioned the cases of espionage here. I mean, we have all China-US
I don't know whether you
right
get
now.
Okay.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. But that's why when you're talking about ease of doing business, you should not tuck it away and say now they actually don't have dead hand of bureaucracy. And we just call it what it is then.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, it's giving a good name to a bad practice,
Yes.
basically. The ease is that it's easy for them to get approvals for everything through corruption.
Okay.
Correct.
And what I'm saying, basically, our own people, who are giving, permits and so on, they're able even to hide all that from the media. Even the media can't focus on it. They're able to do that. They can hide it from even the investigators because there is money.
Again, it comes back to you, legislators, then. If we have our country subjecting ourselves or maybe doing business with a country that has questionable business practices, especially on the intellectual properties as well, aren't we looking for a morally ethical, country that is doing business the proper way? You say the issue of corruption as well.
Yeah.
Then are we just left at the ransom of the Chinese? So this is the way to go. Whoever calls the shot as far as making all these trade deals is concerned, then we just go the way they've pointed to the Chinese.
Well,
let's face east. Now we are facing east.
Let me also
regardless of their ethical practices as well.
Let me also clarify that we can't say that Chinese government plan to be corrupt. No, we are saying basically, if there is 1% corruption in Kenya, 1% corruption in China is the size of Kenya. You understand? If there is one or two companies in Kenya which are corrupt, you just think about the number of those companies which can come from China, and then individuals in Kenya. We have a problem. We have a problem because if you ask yourself, if there's a project that comes, a Chinese big project, we buy into the project, and then the person who drives the truck is from China. The person who drives the forklift is from China. When you do that, Debarl, you begin to ask yourself, what happened to what happened to Kenyans?
Pogisu, because I want you also to point out a very crucial aspect of it, because we have Chinese also threatening the number of donkeys in this country. And I know from West Pokot, people use a lot of...
We sell a lot of donkeys.
Yeah, and we know this is a whole... But we are the same country, we've allowed abattoirs for the slaughter of these donkeys as well. Right now, according to statistics, we have donkeys in Kenya, which is almost less than 1 million. In the near future, in the near, actually 5 good years, won't be having any donkeys in this country.
Again,
and this is being used as, for some of their practices in China. I don't know if it's called a sajo or some drug of sorts in China as well. This is raising concerns in this country as far as donkey meat is concerned, and the donkey trade and them disappearing. And I know also from West Pokot, you've had a lot of livestock and donkeys disappearing as well. But why aren't you raising this concern as well for the many Kenyans who are actually suffering? Their livestock stolen every day.
It is this. Well, let's leave out the donkey, because the donkey things, everybody knows that if you want to start a factory, you first of all look at your source of donkeys, okay? And you know the number of donkeys in Kenya cannot sustain a factory for so long. But somebody went ahead and allowed that to happen. Now people are sourcing donkeys from all over Africa. I'm sure donkeys are being driven from as far as Congo. But just for that factory. Because the Kenyan donkeys are not sufficient. We don't have numbers of donkeys, because donkeys were meant for a few people own 1 donkey or 2 donkeys. Nobody owns a herd of donkeys.
Factory for work.
Yeah,
not
just for work.
For consumption.
So this is something that creates a domino effect on our economy. It doesn't even sustain our economy. Because I mean, we don't have too many people going to look after donkeys. Not many people look after donkeys. Donkeys actually are wild, almost wild. Nobody takes care of them. So, but I am just telling you that let's not condemn the whole government of China, but let's the individuals and companies within China and Kenya here, and then the government officials in Kenya who allow them to come in, will definitely have to answer. And I think if we focus on this, and our media focuses properly on these things, then legislature is empowered, okay, to look at the laws and look at the regulations, because we actually are responsible for those laws and regulations.
Right. Let's just give our closing remarks as well. 30 seconds as well. We have that interesting editorial cartoon. Maybe Alice, you can comment on it as you're winding up. Briefly, 30 seconds.
You want us to comment on the cartoon?
No,
or
you
to
can comment also your headline
Yeah,
thoughts.
well,
The
okay.
cartoon is
On
still
the
related
headlines,
to,
I
yes.
think I will start with the subject that we started with. I think the media should dig into this subject in a broader manner, not narrow down on Parliament, so that we have a national, honest conversation regarding payments and allowances for all public servants.
Thank you.
And then there we shall have offered a solution.
Thank you.
Then in respect of this Chinese in Gikomba and elsewhere, there is a national outcry, and I think we are not headed in the right direction. We need to interrogate as Parliament the agreements, major agreements that we have, because if we start there, then we can begin to understand the complex and the problem that we are facing. But for me, I think immediately this kind of licenses should be completely withdrawn.
Thank you.
And the Minister for Trade and the Interior Minister should actually respond to the Kenyan outcry immediately, without waste of time.
Isaac.
Yeah.
Two things. Number one is that the doing away of the term limits by Xi Jinping in China is something that we need to be worried about. We will see this happening a lot because you see African heads of states supplicating to this man as if he's a headmaster. You saw in the last Belt and Road conference. And also, it's also good for Kenyans to know that in China also there's a political corruption kind of witch hunting. So if people leave power, then they're taken to jail, and it has been happening for quite some time.
Thank you.
And then finally, we are paying 600 billion now in debt in the current budget. That is nearly a third of our budget. And that is to tell you that much of this money is going.
Thank you.
The
30 seconds over.
If you allow me just 1 minute.
No.
One line. The Paris Club did away with odious debt in the 90s. It's a vicious cycle. Now we are with the Chinese. We need to ask ourselves, who is the constant here? I think it is us.
Right. Who's the constant? It is us. Let's hear. Okay, Pogiso.
Yes,
Closing 30 seconds.
Let me just look at the whole scenario of how we need to work with members of parliament, and I think with your parliaments. I think we need to improve that working relationship so that we can actually have members of parliament empowered. I think we should look at how do we have proper empowerment for the houses to do their legislative and oversight role. I mean, that has been misunderstood. And I think maybe we're not doing a good job ourselves. Maybe we need actually to have a way to present this.
Thank you. I really do appreciate your input this morning. I know it's been a squeamish discussion, especially for you, but you've done well. Thank you so much. And we can see also reactions on Twitter as well. As we're reading just one or two, as we're running up, we have Dr. Dorwin Ambuka saying, when doctors went on 100 days strike to improve the standard of health, SRC was used as a major block. We complied though. The governors nodded in agreement saying we must abide to SRC. Why should they not comply in the same manner since we are all state officers? She asked. CK, can I read one more for balance? Yeah. We need to hear the voices of the taxpayers and SRC. The panel of MPs is not balanced. Of course, this is what you were saying as well. We really do appreciate your input, a lot of them here on social media, and thank you for driving the show with me as well. You've been watching This Is the Point here on I Am Live. This is up next.